Alright, welcome guys to the first episode of the POV podcast. Today, actually, you tell them who you are.
that's weird. Um,
Well, obviously, they're gonna be like, what the hell are they listening to? Well, they know me, like, probably.
and now they're gonna get to know me.
Well, firstly, let me start off, and I'm gonna say that she is definitely like one of my favorite people, obviously, but definitely like one of my best friends, 100%. Um, Go.
Aww.
You go.
That was cute. Hi guys, I'm Anje. For those of you who don't know, obviously. And tonight I'm gonna talk to
It's
one
10:42 p.m. by the way. This is the time we're actually doing the podcast. But continue.
whatever. Tonight we are gonna talk a little about something called fibromyalgia.
Yeah. So I wanted to speak to you first, like as my first guest, obviously, for my podcast, and I obviously share with you my ideas first, right? And I obviously started this podcast for the aim of sharing people's stories, especially young people. I mean, like, what, you're 21 right now? No?
Yeah.
So you're relatively young yourself.
I would hope so.
You've gone through a lot of things in life.
I guess you can say that. I've had my fair amount of drama with regards to my life.
True. But the things people don't know. And I feel like the reason why I asked you is because I feel like you can share a lot. You can share a lot. Do you know that?
I mean, I guess, but as long as it hopefully would help someone in the future, then it's all good.
Do
then
you
it's
want
worth
it
it.
to help somebody in the future?
I think, well, you'd know this, but I'm a very private person, so I don't tend to talk about stuff, especially regarding my condition, which is fibromyalgia, just because I feel like it's private. However, I do feel, as of lately, that by voicing my opinion and my experiences, it might help someone else, especially in the beginning stages, as I did not have that person.
Mm-hmm.
When I was first diagnosed, we didn't know what it was. No one could tell me it was going to be okay and what's going to happen after everything and all the doctor's appointments and what to expect. So it was freaky. But
And this started when?
I think this started at a very early age. I got a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain. I would go from doctor to doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it would be the same thing. They would put me on antibiotics. They'd tell me the very
That you had
common
the flu,
thing
nah?
that I have the flu. Yeah, because the symptoms can be quite similar sometimes. And then in my first year, I had a sharp shooting pain in my back where I couldn't get out of my bed, and I called my mom back in Nam, and I was like, something's really, really wrong. Like, I really need to see a doctor now, and I was rushed to the hospital.
And just to give backstory or some sort of some sort of information on that is that you had your exhibition that year when this happened, right?
Yes. However, I was diagnosed about 2 months before that, though.
In your first year?
Yes, in my first year I was
This is
diagnosed.
before we actually became proper friends?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am, because I never told anyone. And I know this for a fact because...
You kept it from other people?
Yes. I had a situation where the person who went with me that day to the doctor, when the doctor told me that this is what you have, that you have fibromyalgia, the person or my guardian or whatever actually made a joke out of it. And that was when I realized, like, who's going to take this seriously if they don't know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just never told anyone. Then eventually you and I became friends shortly after. And then I also started realizing, like, I can't keep this a secret because it is going to affect my daily life. And that's why you were one of the first people who I told, besides my parents now.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know.
Well, I feel honored. So, but actually, why I wanted to say give some backstory on that is because I thought it was the exhibition that night when you had your exhibition where you actually got that crazy pain and you couldn't walk, you couldn't you couldn't stand, you were like drowsy,
Don't
dizzy.
confuse this with last year, because remember, this is
That's
what
what I'm
happened
saying.
at last
But
year's
that's what I'm
exhibition.
saying.
At I was diagnosed in my first year.
Yes, this I know, but I was saying when you said sharp shooting pain in your back, I thought it was last year. That's why I was like, I wanted to give backstory because like I was obviously involved in that night. So that's why I wanted to like say something. But when you continue to speak, I obviously found out that it was first year. So whatever. Continue. So after first year, when you told me and like your parents found out, and then you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia,
It was scary because no one knew what it was.
you
The
didn't know?
doctors in NAM didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was.
NAM is Namibia.
Obviously, for those of you who don't know, when I was in Paul when I was diagnosed, and when the doctor told me you have fibromyalgia, I was so confused because that's a very big word. Like,
It's an odd
it's
term.
scary, and I don't have my mom with me. I didn't know what was going on with my body, or I was feeling the way I was just scared. I was very freaked out. I didn't know what was going on.
In your first year.
It must
have been quite scary, actually.
It is, especially when it comes to something affecting your body in a way that you can't even get out of bed, that starts to freak you out. Like, you have no idea what's going on, especially if it's a sudden thing. I mean, I've always had, like, the pain and stuff as a child, but no one could ever tell us it was fibromyalgia, so we always just assumed, like,
And everybody always treated it like it was the flu.
Yeah, or I was being told that I stress too easily, which was not the case.
And that you over-exaggerate the symptoms and and I know you don't like that kind of stuff because people always think they don't take you seriously and they're like, yeah, you need to stop like bitching and moaning. But meanwhile, like, it's such a serious thing.
That's why I figured, like, I might as well keep it to myself, because, I mean, no one took me seriously, not even during high school. I mean, I had some of my best friends who thought I was joking when I told them something seriously wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was only until they saw, like, my medication and stuff where they actually took me seriously. Like, I remember they walked in on me one night in my hostel while I was taking my meds, and they were like, wait, what are you drinking? Because those aren't vitamins. And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you guys, like, something's up, but you didn't want to listen, but it's okay. I mean, for my parents, they also didn't always know. They didn't know what was going on. They took me from doctor to doctor every single time, with the same result, and it's still like that now, because you would know with regards to last year's exhibition.
It happened, that exact same story happened again.
I was rushed to the hospital only to be told that I have some kind of flu. Calling my mom back in Namibia, and my mom is hysterical because we know that that's not the truth, and we know that doctors don't know as much about fibromyalgia. You have to go to a specialist if you want for it to be diagnosed. That's how I was diagnosed.
A lot of GPs, we've noticed that, like, or that you've told me of, that they misdiagnose fibromyalgia and that they like don't even know what it is.
Exactly. They don't know where it comes from. They don't know how to treat it. And to be quite honest, fibromyalgia isn't diagnosed through blood tests or any of that, because I've had my fair amount of blood tests. I mean, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Every holiday I would while and complain about the amount of blood tests I had to go through. And none of that would show fibromyalgia. It was when I had to do physical tests, when they tested the sensitivity of my hands and my back, and that was very weird. I was like in this small white room with the doctor like poking me with stuff. It was so weird, but that's what it took to diagnose me, so I guess that's fine.
But you went to a specialist, right?
Yes, because my GP in Paul, she said like clearly we're missing something, so she'd feel much better if I were to go to a specialist, because something is wrong. And she's known me from my early ages. Like, I was very small when I met her, so she knew that I wasn't just talking shit. Basically, something really was up.
Mm-hmm.
But she couldn't figure out what, and my blood tests didn't show anything besides the obvious. And that's when she sent me to the specialist, also in Paul. Don't ask me to pronounce his name because it's very difficult. And I wasn't even in there for half an hour before he said, like, listen, this is fibromyalgia, and the chances are the doctors aren't going to be able to help you, and I'm not going to be able to help you because there is no cure for it, or not now. There's treatments, trial treatments, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to work for you. So we basically had to go from that. Then we had to go do our own research. My parents started contacting people in Australia. I remember my mom spending nights like Skyping with doctors from Australia and America.
Doctors?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She saw groups and stuff on Facebook, and then she was obviously skeptical because you don't always know how legit they are.
Mm-hmm.
But then she got into contact with them.
On Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook. That's what I'm saying. Like those Facebook groups, like those support groups and stuff.
Oh.
She got into them. Like they accepted
Fibromyalgia support groups.
Yes, because I didn't want anything to do with it. The first 6 months after I found out that it is fibromyalgia, I didn't want anything to do with that. I was given the opportunity to go for counseling and all of those things. My parents said, like, let's do it. Let's help you work through this. They were just as scared as I was. We cried a lot. We cried a lot.
And you're the only child.
Exactly. And it was a struggle to get me in the first place. So for them to find out that she has this unknown, we don't know if it's a disorder, a disease, a syndrome, we don't know what it is. And every person's definition of it's going to differ. So it was
based
emotional.
on opinion, yeah.
It was a very emotional roller coaster the first 6 months. And I didn't want to talk about it, not to my parents, not to my friends, not to anyone. I didn't want to see counselors. I didn't want to go to support groups. I didn't want anything to do with that.
I mean, but it's because you still have to process this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you just find out, boom, you're diagnosed with this thing, and you don't even know what you have. Many doctors don't even recognize it or not recognize it, but they don't even know what it is. So
well, if you take into consideration,
I can understand why you were scared.
Being a first year, you're away from home. It's completely new people, new environment. Everything's new. You're studying a new course, which is totally different from high school with regards to your subjects and your times and the hours that you have to put in. So everything it needs some getting used to. You have to make new friends and start all over. Now this happens, and it basically denied me a normal student life, because I couldn't do what normal students could have done, because I can't stay on my feet for that long. It was a struggle to get through one day at a time with regards to my classes, actually doing my work, and then
And
having
this is
time
when
to
this
be
is when in
social
first
as
year
well.
when you this is when in first year when you actually had like class from like 8 to 4 almost every single bloody day.
Oh yes, and then obviously a lot of work afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
because in Namibia or in Otjiwarongo and Chimep I never had classes such as graphic design, whereas in South Africa it is actually a subject in school, so I had to work.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you do. My entire class was ahead of me in that department. They either had drawing or art. Um,
Why didn't you have art?
I don't know. My school did not have that as a subject.
What? For
You
real?
had it like in grade 6 and 7, but you never.
Oh,
We didn't.
but that's not.
We didn't have it in
But
high
that's
school.
purely art. Art, like that's
Exactly.
not.
I had art at an early age, like after school. Now this had nothing to do with school. I had art classes, but
Like
that doesn't
externally,
count. Yeah, but that doesn't count because I had to stop with that because my schedule in high school became so busy. What with me getting really involved with acting and modeling and those kinds of things, so
Uh-huh.
I had to choose.
And you're going to LA and those kinds of places.
Yes,
And
I had
what
to.
world champs is it or what stuff like that?
Yeah, the world champs for performing arts. I had to drop a lot of my hobbies. That's why I had to stop with gymnastics. I had to stop learning the guitar. I actually had a guitar and everything. I still
I
have
remember
it.
you telling me this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I never could go through with it because there wasn't enough hours in a day for everything.
That happened to me actually, because in high school, grade 12 was freaking me, like it was freaking me out, like it really was freaking me out, and I was doing MMA, and I was doing guitar, and I was doing guitar since the 6th grade, and in 12th grade I was like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, it felt forced, and I don't like to be forced. I don't like doing something I don't want to do, and I was just hit over the head with like this MMA thing. But what I'm trying to say is that because grade 12 was like so much work, you know, it was freaking me out. I had little time for many things, you know, and like you get what I'm saying. So then my mom and I decided like, look, I also have to like drop guitar, and yeah, so I also dropped guitar, and I haven't picked it up since.
I know, because I've been trying to force you.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I should. I don't know. I'll get to that again. But this is my thing. Like, coming back to your fibromyalgia, right?
Yeah.
Nah?
Mm-hmm.
You told me that only 2% of the world's population has it. Has this.
Yes, and it's predominantly found with women. It's diagnosed in women. Men rarely have fibromyalgia. The only person I know of is Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, yeah.
Yes, but I do also know that Lady Gaga has it.
You know, she had to like, I remember.
Cancel a world tour or some of her concerts because of it. And I think she did a Netflix series, My Life with Fibromyalgia, or something like that.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, she did a short series about it. I read
Didn't
somewhere.
Morgan Freeman do something like that also?
No, I don't know, but I know he's like a spokesperson for it.
So he raises awareness for it.
Yeah, tries to. It's difficult because there's a reason fibromyalgia is called the invisible illness. I mean, how many times...
The invisible illness.
Yeah, they call it the invisible illness, most people.
Uh-huh.
Others call it invisible disorder.
Actually, why don't we why don't you tell me, or why don't we just tell them, basically, the people listening, that what is fibromyalgia? Like definitely they probably already Google searched this. You know, if they've heard of fibromyalgia. Like, I mean, when I found out what it was, when you told me, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, for real, I was like, what are you telling me? I remember Googling it, and I was reading this, and I was like, what? You're like affecting the nervous system, and like
widespread pain and tenderness in your muscles.
Yes, and
pins and needles in your hands. Hypersensitivity to weather, to materials.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't do. You can't determine whether something's like really hot or really cold?
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with that. I mean, I tell you this on a regular, that I would get into a shower and I won't realize that it's steaming hot until 5 minutes after the shower when I actually look down at my feet and they're red and swollen and tingly.
Oh wow.
And then I realized, maybe that was a little bit too hot, hey?
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit too late to realize that, listen, this is too hot or this is too cold. Well,
Or it's like the other way around. Sometimes we like when it's hot, like weather-wise, you feel it like, then it's like you're super sensitive. Like there's no balance like in a normal person. Like it's either it's super sensitive or it's like
delayed.
Yeah.
Very, very delayed. But the thing with it being super sensitive though is like when it is that hot, it gives you this feeling of a fire underneath your skin. Like not even like, it doesn't feel like your skin is burning, it feels like a fire underneath the skin, which makes it itch and that makes it sensitive. That's why whenever someone touch me, like whenever they touch me, I burn. It feels like they're pressing my skin down into the fire. That's why
That's
I don't
specific.
like to. I know, but
Yeah.
it sounds harsh, and it actually sometimes I feel like it sounds worse than it is, but I feel like it's just because I've gotten used to it. But that's what it's like, you know? That's just your normal now, or my normal.
But one thing I obviously picked up is that, for example, when I see you, like I remember in first year and second year, like in first year and like beginning to mid second year, I always had to like remind myself that like when I greet you, like with a hug or whatever, I shouldn't like basically squeeze you too hard, or I should be like basically I should be gentle, because your muscles like
Ek so sensitiewe bloetjie.
but I would notice that like you'd like hunch forward, like, you know, and
It's kind of my way of protecting myself, self-defense. Because
yeah,
I
but
think
it's
it
because
should
like
be added.
your shoulders and your
back.
traps and your traps.
Yeah, I know,
back.
but your back as well, lower back. Those
Lower
are
back.
your those are the most sensitive areas normally with regards to spasms. So what happens is like your muscles are basically in spasms 95% of your day. And I mean, you know this. You know how rock solid my shoulders are.
That's true.
Most of the time.
That's true.
Especially with my back as well. I've gone to massages where they couldn't determine what's my rib and what's my muscle, because
What?
I know, it's weird. I was on the massage table because
Okay, this you haven't told
I
me.
know, but it's like, it's weird because my mom used to treat me like that as a way of like trying to help me to relax the muscles, because you know I did the like shock treatment where they tried to shock my muscles and stuff like that. So I used to go for massages every holiday. And I remember lying on the massage table and this lady starts to elbow me. And she's just like, wait, this can't be your muscle. Like, you're too tiny and too small and, you know, I'm too delicate.
Short. Yeah, you're short, girl.
Yeah, I'm too delicate for its muscle to be that hard. So it was very confusing to her.
But I've noticed, like, you would always tell me, like, please press my shoulders or something, because, like, it just hurts. And obviously, like, it's just weird. You can't press your shoulders, especially when your thing goes into, like, such a spasm. And, like, I always, like, give my mother, like, these neck massages and, like, her shoulders and stuff like that. Sometimes I even do with my sister, like, if she asks, because, like, you know? And I would know, like, believe me, I know when it's, like, this is really hard. Like, this is where I'm using a strength as a guy, you know? Like, on a girl. And usually, like, my sister, then, like, my mom specifically, she'll just, like, be like, no, you, like, you're pressing me too hard, like, and all of that. And you would be like, go full force. Like, to the point where I'm like, breaking a sweat, or to where I'm like, holy shit, how are you not getting sore? Because I'm pressing you so hard, I'm hurting like my finger, or like I'm hurting like my forearms are getting stiff or something, you know?
Yeah, I
And
remember. Remember with the shock treatment thing, they put the same thing on my dad, but they placed it on both of us, and then they put the
oh,
frequency
was
up.
this the shock treatment where you put your hand in the glove, then it
That's
like,
one of it, like, but you get patches that they put on you, and that shocks your muscles in specific areas.
oh yes, yes, yes.
So what they did was they put you get 4 on a machine. So they put 2 on my dad's side and 2 on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And that would help it being the same frequency and we'd feel it at the same time and whatnot. And there was a point where my dad's shoulders, like, it was pulled up until his, like, ears, because he couldn't anymore, because that's when his muscles actually started to, like, pull into a spasm because it was too hectic. And I was just sitting there looking at my dad,
All chilled,
and I was
like,
like,
dude, I do
what?
this every day.
Like, nothing's happening. And I remember, like, my dad's like, I can't go further. Like, you have to take it off. And they took it off of him, and they had to put, like, all 4 on me, and they had to put it on the highest. And I mean, I showed you guys with the gloves as well. Like, all of your
That should,
reactions
yeah.
with the gloves were hilarious. And for me, that's like a nice massage, you know?
Yeah, man, I remember we were in the, we used to be in the hostel together, and where you got these gloves because you'd also like, this is when your hands started to be affected a lot, right? Because usually fibromyalgia goes from one place, like it's in your whole body, but sometimes it's just that specific spot in your body just gets affected so deeply that
Well, you
like
can say fibromyalgia tends to spread like a cancer almost, because my
a
pain
cancer.
started in my back, and as it progressed, it went from my back to my shoulders, to my hands, my knees, my ankles, all my joints. Then I started getting the headaches. Then I started getting the fibro fog, which causes me to become forgetful at times and
Yeah, like you look
very
like you're on a trip.
confused and off balance.
Yeah, I know this. the and just for you guys to understand is that what fibrofog is literally what it is. It's like a brain is in this fog. Like it literally is like that. Like it's literally like she's on a trip. It's like she's literally on this trip, and I'm like, are you fine? And I remember like when you were on this, you were like, I am fine. Don't worry about me. Just take me to McDonald's. Oh,
You're funny.
no, like really, and I was like, is this girl drunk? Is this girl like, because the way you're moving, you like, it's like too much flow, you know? Everything just had too much flow. The words are too much flow. The body language are too much flow. The eyes when it's dumb.
Yeah, but you have to
And,
understand, like, at that point, everything becomes, like, so much effort. That's why the other night when
like
I
when it
felt
becomes
like...
heavy.
Yeah, the other night when I felt so ugh as well. When, like, I stopped talking because I felt like it took so much energy. And I'm trying to preserve my energy because I want to be awake, you know. I wanted to watch a movie and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, I can't, man. It's literally getting to this point. And I know when I have my bad days at home as well, my parents already know. Like, I have my way of showing them. When I go to my room with, for example, my laptop or a load of DVDs, and I take, like, a lot of fluids with me, with, like, juice or Coke, because obviously that's what I need to help me get my energy up. Then they know, like, oh no, she's starting to feel bad. So then they're just going to leave me because I don't feel like talking. Because
Yeah,
I
you get that a
shut
lot.
all my windows. I need it to be dark because the light hurts. It gives me the biggest headache. So I close everything off. I play my music or I put a movie on in the background. And I just roll up in my blankie because that provides comfort. And I, like, fall between dozens of pillows. that's how I get lost, and that's how I eventually feel better. Like, if you leave me there, then I'll get out of it by myself. Like, I know how to handle it when it gets to that point.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just, it's difficult for people who are around me a lot when they have to see it. I remember my mom's first time experiencing it. It was hard on her because I was already used to it by the time I went home for the first time, because I had to be in Cape Town while dealing with it.
Yeah, and she
So,
sees this for the first time, firsthand.
yes, and that was like a month or 2 or 3 after I was diagnosed. And then I was just like, Mark and chill. Like, this is what's gonna happen. Like, this is our new normal. Like, deal with it. Because we can't do anything about it. I mean, I used to go to get my neurobion shots because they thought that was going to help with energy levels, you know, my vitamins and whatnot. That didn't help jack shit. Like, it meant nothing, so we stopped with that eventually. Like, I guess it's gonna differ from person to person with regards to what's gonna help them.
This is true.
Where I see a lot of people say that exercise makes it worse for them, whereas for me, it helps me to relax that more.
Okay.
Not hard exercise, like going for a walk or stuff like that. Remember, I told you in our second year we went for walks a lot because it helped me.
Mm-hmm. Do share more about it, because what I want you to share is like, I want you to give really like what you told me about like your how you like, you obviously are in pain a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I know like people are obviously gonna think, and this is what I thought, I was just like, this girl just gets these messed up spasms, and like her body is just, you know, too heavy for her sometimes, where it's like she's awake but her body is just so heavy for her. If, like you said, everything feels like it's too much effort and all of that. Like, but what fibromyalgia does is that, one that I didn't know is that, one, when like something's too bright, you like, for, with regards to your eyes, like you said, you close your blinds, or like your windows and stuff, because or you close your curtains rather, because like it hurts your eyes. Like you feel physical pain because it hurts your eyes. Sound, like, I know that you, for example, people slurping their coffee or a drink or whatever, that physically hurts you, and it hurts your ears. That's something I didn't know.
You have to remember, because I have a delayed sense in my touch, because I don't necessarily feel everything. I don't know if you remember, but in my first year I used to tell you can pinch my hands and I wouldn't feel anything.
Oh, I remember this.
So
actually,
what
I forgot.
happens when when someone takes a sense away?
The others get heightened.
Exactly. That's basically what happens. So that's also why I still, to this day, I would get into a shower and I won't realize how hot this water actually is. Or I burn myself at the stove and I still don't realize I just burnt myself. I only realize later on when I see the, like, blister?
Yeah, blister.
Yeah.
Tell me that story again of when you were writing an exam, and this girl in your class was sitting behind you, and because she was breathing so loudly, it was hurting you so much to where you actually started crying in the exam because it was so painful. I was like, I didn't know you could feel that kind of pain. If you get what I'm saying.
I know. I mean, it's a thing of, because you're so incredibly sensitive. Now you're in this exam hall with so many children, and you are obviously surrounded by them, in front of you, behind you, next to you, and you have someone walking around 24/7. Like, all senses are alert, you know. You have the different smells, the different sounds. Everything is just all over the place. And I had this one girl. Yes, it's very overwhelming. I can't take too much at a time. You have to gradually get me into it. It just can't go like bam. That's why I prefer going earlier as well, just to get used to my everything and see who's with me. behind me, next to me, and that's usually when I write exams. I wait for everyone to sit, then I choose where I want to go sit. Because by now you'd know, like, where's safe. Like, I don't like sitting in the middle and I don't like sitting in the front.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
true.
I
I
sit at
noticed
the
like when we
back.
were in some exam halls, like you'd always sit at the back.
And I prefer sitting somewhere where no one's next to me.
You always have a table by yourself.
Yeah, you see, I'm smart like that. So what happened is this girl, she's I don't know whether or not she was sick or whatever, but she was a very heavy breather and she coughed,
Coughed.
whatever, the entire time. And it was loud and it was constant. And I think I even told you, like, I started counting it as well.
Yeah, I remember because I sat a few tables behind you, but I didn't obviously I didn't hear anything. I was busy with my exam.
It's normal.
But I just saw you weren't. I saw you weren't lekker. I just saw you weren't.
It got so frustrating
Fine.
because it felt like I couldn't hear myself think anymore. Because to me, it's like this is on a stereo, you know. I felt like someone was right next to me, like
it's all just sound amplified.
Yes, and it actually hurts. Like, you know, when something's like a screeching sound. It's so high that it
like someone scratching a chalkboard.
Yeah, something like that. That's the sensation that it gives off, and then like everything else gets tensed up, and then my hands start to react, and that's something you don't want when writing an exam. If your hands start acting up.
What do you mean? What do you mean by acting up?
Acting up, so with my hands, two things normally happen. It's actually three things. Either I don't have feeling in it at all, where you can pinch me and I just don't feel it. Or I get pins and needles, which is horrible. I hate it, especially if I have to do practical exams.
Is it like when you...
It's like someone takes a needle and just like continuously stabs you like in your hand.
Okay, that's way more aggressive than what I was going to explain it was.
Oh, well, that's the only way I can think of. Because it's like fast, prickling sensations, especially on your fingertips. And then the other one, this one I hate. The third one is it feels like your hands are on fire. And I mean, you've seen it. When my hands feel like that, I start
like your hands become incredibly red.
Yes,
like, it
and
really
it's
looks
patchy.
but it really looks like you are burning.
Exactly.
That's the funny part. Like, when you tell me like...
And you can put it on like under a running tap or anything, and it's not gonna help. I've put my hands on like ice packs and everything. That's why I have them at home, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. I think that would be one of the first reasons if ever I would start to cry during an exam. Especially
when
if
your
it's
hands act up.
If you write a 3-hour exam and this happens, it's not nice. Especially
I can see how that can be
suffer
torture.
through it. And then you have all of these other things that play a role. You still have the sounds around you. Then you have...
And like you said, that overwhelming environment of the people, like this lecturer walking around or whatever, and like this guy sneezing, this guy coughing, this chick behind you breathing like a freaking werewolf, and and you know.
And you also know our exam hall is very cold. You know this. It's very cold inside. So what happens to me when it's cold? I get spasms in my shoulders and my back.
Yeah, that I said, you don't do well with weather change.
Oh no, it's horrible. That's why when I go back home, the first 2 days, it's a struggle.
Yeah, you're basically bedridden for 2 days.
Exactly, it's like an extreme jet lag for just an hour's flight, but okay. So imagine the confusion when it's actually so cold, your shoulders are in a spasm, but your hands are on fire. Like, that's very confusing to your body to understand. Like, it's reacting because it's cold, yet it's reacting because it feels like it's on fire. Wow. So that's very... I almost want to say, it's disturbing because everything is so off balance. Nothing makes sense. And there was a point where I was thinking to myself, this can't be normal. Is this really what fibromyalgia is? Then I would go onto the support groups. Then I would see,
people are saying the same things, right?
Yes, especially I remember saying that. I don't know if I told you, but I was like, oh, my joints are swollen. Like, I couldn't understand my knees, my ankles. And I was like, is this something to do with just with me physically, not with regards to fibromyalgia now? And then I would see on the group, but a lot of people struggle with that. Then I'm like, okay, no, this is normal. It's fine. So it's gotten to a point where like you get scared because you don't know what's going on until
And
you
then
go.
you Google symptoms, then you find out like you're dying 2 days later.
Yeah, but not only that, I'm lucky enough, my GP back home got very interested in my situation.
Your GP?
Yes. I mean, he's been my doctor since I was a little kid. So since I've been diagnosed, he's been doing a lot of research on it. He's not fully equipped with all the knowledge of fibromyalgia, but my point is he does a lot of effort just so that I always go to him during every holiday just to do my normal tests to make sure that everything is still fine to make up for the areas which are obviously lacking now.
Yeah.
So he would read up on stuff and then it'd be like, for interest's sake, tell me this and this and this. I just want to understand it better. So that was basically my first year of appointments with him. And now it can go to a place where I can go to him and I can tell him, listen, I'm feeling this and this. Like, do you think that there's something that I can do to help me right now? Is there something I can eat or drink? Should I just go rest? What should I do? Should I maybe even exercise for that matter? And he's really helped me a lot with regards to that, because also remember, with fibromyalgia, there's certain exercises that you're not allowed to do because it's too harsh on your body. And the moment you feel a pain when exercising, you have to stop, which is unusual because normally you have to then slow it down, get afwarming and whatnot. That's not
Like
the case. Fibromyalgia, you stop. If you feel that pain, you stop. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you pack up, you're done. And
Why?
It gets dangerous at that point.
How dangerous?
When it comes to your muscles and then there's pain and then you continue, you can hurt yourself permanently.
In what way?
How? I never tested that. I never tested that theory. I just left it at that.
I would hope you won't.
Exactly, because I don't feel like exercising when I feel bad to that extent. When it comes to when it comes specifically to my back pains and my shoulder pains, then I'll just leave it, because that's a bit sensitive for me, They say to leave it because what happens then is, because remember your nerves, they're running overtime, and your senses. So now you're going to keep on pushing in the gym, you have this pain and you're going to keep on pushing, and you're going to force your body to go into this overdrive, and then right after that it's like you're falling. Actually no, you know what's going to happen? Last year's exhibition. Close to that. Just worse than what happened to me at last year's exhibition.
It's like you're...
Because I worked, I did a lot of heavy lifting, I wanted to help with the decor, I wanted to help carry the boxes and everything, and I didn't listen to my body.
It's like
when
burning
it said
out like
heavily,
times 100.
But you can hurt your muscles in that sense then, because they're already acting up and you don't stop, even though it's giving you the warning signs. That's when you start to hurt them, and then it's like a permanent spasm that just doesn't want to go away.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the next thing is clothes.
Shame. My poor parents. The amount of clothes I've gone through in the past 2 years. I've had situations where I was in class and then suddenly my clothes would hurt me like so much. Then I had to drive all the way to the hostel, change clothes and go back to class. And I sometimes
like
had
a
to
full
do this.
outfit, right?
Yes. Then I think I've had 3 situations or something, but it was last year where I changed like 3 times a day.
What?
Yes, I had situations like that.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, but our classes differed quite a lot last year.
Well, that's true.
Let me put it this way, I would go to class in one outfit. When I come to pick you up, I quickly changed.
Oh, I remember that, but I was thinking
When I
it'd be
drop you
cold
off.
or it would be too warm or something.
And sometimes when I drop you off and go back, because I had a lot of full days last year,
Yeah.
and change again.
Wow.
What it basically is your skin is hypersensitive. You can't wear anything. I had to throw away
It's sensitive
half
to certain
of my
materials.
clothes. Yes. And it's weird because sometimes something can be too soft.
Too soft?
Yeah, I told you this. Remember when we went shopping the other day and we walked around and you gave me something and I was like, this is too soft, it's gonna hurt me. And you looked at me.
Oh,
and then
wasn't
I
that
told
when
you,
this was when me, you, and my sister went to Cotton On, and you were looking for something for winter.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were looking for something for winter, and then
I showed you something, you asked me, wait, isn't this like...
yeah, I thought
too
that would
hard?
hurt your skin because even that felt like it was this hard like knit, and I was like, this would irritate me.
I think it really depends. Like, I can't wear anything that has like that sparkly kind of texture in it because that itches. It scratches my skin and it's just itchy. Like anything.
Do you get rashes from it?
Yes. Oh yes, this you know. Like it's horrible. I can't wear jeans at all. Cause
Yeah, this I know. Because I've asked you,
show-
like, why don't you just wear a jean? Like, a jean you can wear, like,
And
as a student,
I
back to back to back.
love like jeans way back when. I think the last time I actually wore a jean was grade 9. I was grade 9. I'm 21 now. That's the last time I actually wore a jean. Because I started seeing like these rashes on my legs, and then they'd start to bleed and stuff like that. And it
yes.
I think you might have seen
I
this
saw like
once
on your leg, and then I was like, I know, like, are you scratching yourself? Like, because it looked like you were excessively scratching yourself, like, and there were these like red little.
It actually looks like something from a horror scene.
No man, no, don't exaggerate like that.
You gotta spice it.
Well, yeah, and it just looked like this red little, like a lot of red dots on your skin, and I was like, okay, wait, what's this? And then
if I don't react to it fast enough, that's when it gets more sensitive, and then when the gene moves over it, it kind of scratches it and causes it to open up. That's why it would bleed. That's why I haven't worn a jean like in forever, because they itch, they burn. It's a living nightmare to wear a jean. It's really horrible. Tight things, I can't really always wear tight things, especially when they're long sleeves. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I know that most people with fibromyalgia say this. We don't like sleeves. We hate them because they're, again, in the shoulder area, which is our most sensitive area.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, you've seen the rashes I get on my arms. It's because of that. It's because of sleeves, because they irritate us. So it's rather confusing, actually. You just never know to what extent you'll be able to wear something before it starts to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of freaky. Like, you can only wear something for so long. Then I'd be like, we gotta go home. I gotta change now. It's when we go on holiday, like in December when my parents came, when we came down to Cape Town again for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'd pack an extra set of clothes when we went out for the day, like when we went to Hermanus and stuff like that, so I could change whenever I felt like I really can't wear this anymore. Yeah.
And even so, like, I know that you can't be out for a full day. Like, sometimes, actually, no, not all the time. Like, it's actually rare, but when it happens, it's I know it's serious.
It's going to depend on the weather. It's going to depend on what you wear. It's going to depend on whether you've eaten that day, whether you've had enough fluids, whether you've gotten sugar in, because I think you've realized this by now. Whenever I feel blech, give me anything with sugar in.
This is true. Like, I remember the other day, not the other day, but it was like, honest, before the June-July holiday, basically, or in between it. Yeah, I remember like you became so weak, and I was like, Anya, are you fine? Because we had a full-on conversation. We were chilling, and then next thing I know, like, you were just so weak, and I was like, Anya, are you fine? Are you just tired or anything? And then you were like, you just said sugar, and I was like, whoa. And I don't think I've ever like jumped up so quickly
to get me Coke of all things.
Right? And I went to go get you Coke, and I don't like giving you Coke.
I know.
I really don't. Like, I just, so much sugar, man. I just don't like it. And I can't take gas, and like when somebody drinks gas, like it's freaking, like when they drink it like it's water, like when it just like flushes down like it's water down their throat, I just feel that burn, and you enjoy a Coke, and so obviously I get you the Coke, and I almost freaked out, because I was like, one, I know that you have low blood sugar, and that you have this whole fibromyalgia thing and whatnot. So I was kind of freaking out a bit. And then just before, like, I kid you not, this is, and I have told you kind of, I don't know if you remember, but just before I freaked out, I was like, whoa, you don't even have time to freak out. Because this girl is basically, she needs you right now, like, just to get her, like, this thing. And for you to freak out is going to waste a lot of time. So, it was so weird. It's like I put what I was feeling or what I was going through to the side, like it was literally to the side of my brain, and then I went to go get you this Coke, came back, gave you the Coke, and then you obviously did so much better after that.
And just gave me time to rest.
Yeah, I gave you like a good few hours.
You
like
have to
maybe
leave me to
like
sleep.
2-3, and then you were good. I obviously freaked out, like not freaked out, but I kind of freaked out the first time, and but I got so used to it, like I think that's just how I could put it to the side.
Well, I think it helped the fact that there was a time where I told you, like, just go do research on your own as well, because I told this to my close friends, and I'm like, especially with my girls at college as well, just so they know that when they see me, that's how they're going to know. And I've told you this before as well. You'll be able to see in my face if I've had a bad night with regards to pain, or I couldn't sleep because of pain. I'm a bad liar, I know, but
some people fall for it so easily.
My face gives everything away, and my eyes as well. You'll see it in me, and I feel like the fact that you did research, I mean, there's a lot of symptoms besides the fibro fog and the pains, like, we do sleep a lot. We have a very, very low amount of energy. Like,
this is true, because sometimes you'd sleep for so long. Like, we would be so shocked. Like the guy side of, when we used to stay in the hostel, we obviously had our friends that side, like, but the boys side, we'd be like, hey man, like, let's go get Anje. Like, I know you should maybe want to go to the mall or something with us and whatnot. And when we go, you'd be sleeping. And we'd be gone for like 6 hours. Come back and you'd still be sleeping. And this is like after a full night's rest. Like, you wouldn't even wake up. You'd go sleep like at 8 p.m. Not even wake up the next morning, and you'd wake up at like sometimes 12. I
wanted to say, like, my record has been I've woken up at 3.
And
then after going to bed at 10. And then I was still able to go back to bed at 10 or 11ish. And I actually think that was this year. It was somewhere this year.
Yeah.
I feel like it was after that weekend I had the model shoots and stuff going on.
Yeah.
When I came back, I was just
In
so
April.
tired from everything. Yeah, that I told my parents, listen, don't freak out or anything, but I'm gonna be offline for a good while. I stocked up on drinks and stuff, and I just left it next to my bed, so I didn't have to stand
Go
up
far.
and
For
go
it, or
look
travel
for
far.
stuff. I had everything that I needed right there, and I was just out.
Yeah, you get like that after you exert a lot of
Every
energy.
once in a while. If you
Yeah.
get too excited from something, it really drains you. So
That's
you
true.
really have to work on keeping your emotions at a neutral. If you get a little bit excited or a little bit upset or aggravated,
I
it
always try
hits you
to,
hard.
you know this, like, every time I see you get excited, I usually I would just allow you, or I would, get excited with you. But you not always just keep like, okay, and you relax. I'll just be like, so, Debbie Downer. And then you'd be like, oh man, just let me be excited. And then I'm like,
Story of my life.
and then I'm like, yeah, you want to be excited now so you can sleep another 13 hours, like, So that's why, like, I always try to, like, not break your excitement,
Thunder.
but, like, I'd rather just keep you mellow, like, or just keep you,
Get
like,
that
keep
a lot.
keep it low.
I'm not allowed to get excited, and even if I'm in stressful situations, it's so hard, especially last year with my car accident. And I had you and my mom with me, and you were just
Oh my
like,
word.
you need to chill, it's fine, just relax, just to help me. And then right after we got back from the police station, you guys just took me to go get me some coke and food into my body just to get me back up.
I remember I was watching YouTube, I was in my pajamas, you called me, you were in a car accident, I didn't even have a car at that time, and I was like, what the hell?
And this was just when I got my car.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell, man? How am I? And so I took a Uber with like my last like $50, like my last 50 or $70, and I was like, you know what? It's fine, My mother will give me more money for like trying to help a friend or something, and yeah, I remember I ran out in traffic.
That was actually a crazy week if you
I
think
ran
about
out in
it.
traffic. You have to understand. I ran out in traffic at that.
I don't think you remember
and
this.
that crazy
remember,
robot?
Yeah, but remember, right, 3 days before my accident, not 3 days, a week before my accident, my mom called you, and she had you tell me that my parents were in the car accident. Because they didn't want to tell me.
That's true, eh?
It was a crazy week because they called you to tell me because they thought that would be the best way because they were also still at the hospital, so they couldn't do a lot of talking.
That's true.
And I remember you telling me they had a tiny accident because you told me what they told you.
Yeah.
But in reality, it was actually a mother of an accident.
It was a crazy
and then
accident. They
my
bumped
mom,
the cow.
Yeah, they bumped a cow. It was hectic on a bridge.
Like head on.
On a bridge, at night. Yeah, it was hectic. And then a week later, my mom is supposed to fly back the Saturday morning because she came down to Cape Town to show me she's okay. And then the Friday morning, I call her on my way to class, and I'm like, listen, I was just in an accident, my first ever accident for that matter. And then I called you, and I had to call my dad for the insurance company. And then the next day, my mom flew back. And then that day, your mom and sister arrived in Cape Town.
That's true, yeah.
And I remember we still went to Justin Bieber, and I was so freaked out from driving in town because it was so like...
Yeah, it was quite hectic. I mean, it was a hectic week, and then you have to go to a concert. Yeah.
And all those people and...
Man, oh man.
Just a day in the life, eh?
Well, wow, like we spoke for a good while. So we're gonna end it there. Thank you for listening to the first episode of the POV podcast. Well, I always want to thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure.
And if you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the podcast. There's definitely gonna be more. And this is just the beginning. So thank you.